Hey everyone, Forgotten Coins here. Today I wanted to showcase a set of 10 coins I've got going out soon to NGC under their economy tier. So the economy tier, anything valued under $300 at $22 a coin. They recently increased their regular submission price from, I believe it was $35 a coin to $38 a coin, which is starting to get pretty expensive to submit coins. So I suggest that if you are able to piggyback off of some other people, other friends, other dealers, your local coin shop, do that. People are doing that more and more often. I've done it a couple times. I haven't sent in a submission just myself in a fair while, but I mean that way you're able to split costs and don't have to pay for the membership, and you can split shipping, and it's sometimes is more economical, but I guess it all depends on what you have. But so today I've got a batch of 10 coins. Seven of them are these really nice 1887 Philadelphia Morgan dollars. None of them have, maybe except for one, which we'll get to in a bit, have any major distracting marks. It's all just kind of a little bit of general bagginess, and a touch of, I don't know if it's haze. It almost reminds me something similar to some of the milk spots on the modern silver bullion. I could probably get these off since it's not actually milk spots, with some just some acetone, but it doesn't really bother me too much, and I'd be curious onto what NGC does with the grades on these coins. My goal for them, at least these 1887 Philadelphias, is just to get a couple of 65s. I know that some of them may come back 64, and that's okay. Just if I get a couple of 65s, out of this batch, that'll help even out my costs, and at least break even for these 1887 Philadelphias. This one has a touch more of that haze. You can kind of see right down here, right by her jawline. But overall, I think that some of these 1887 Philadelphias came from the same dyes, and we can get into VAMs in a little bit, but first let's just appreciate the color of this one. It's just some really nice either enderoll or album toned, just that really nice amber toning with the, where's my loop, with the touch of blue down here at the date. It's just really appealing. Even for people who don't typically like color a whole lot, I think you can at least appreciate the look that some of these have. And we can get into we'll get into why I think some of these are from the same dyes. I haven't looked exactly at their what VAMs they are, but we'll start with this one as a reference, since it's a bit more easier to visualize. So it has die clashing right behind her bonnet and her hairpiece. And this is a really common area for organ dollars to clash. And it actually is from the tips of the wings, or tips of the leaves, excuse me, on the reverse of the wreath. And we'll actually end up seeing the same impression on the opposite side, but it'll be from, instead of from the leaves, it'll be from this indent of her cap. And so since it's, since the coin's oriented, right, it's on this lower third of the coin, so it'll be on the top third of the reverse. And so this, you can actually see, those are the leaves, that top section of leaves on the wreath. That's what clashed behind her bonnet. And then you can kind of see those little mountains or hills that are representing the back section of her bonnet. And so the clash dies usually more often come from older dies, right? So this one you can tell is an older die just from all the die cracks all along this outer edge. Following, in the United States of America, it goes circles almost the entire coin. We'll get a bit of a better look at that. And you can also see a bit of, that rippling in the fields, where it kind of looks almost orange peel-like, that you kind of sometimes get on the higher grade wheat cents. And that's from the die slowly starting to wear down and rust. And oftentimes you'll get, start to get weaker strikes and more issues like that. But so we have the clashing right up here by the wreath. We have all these die cracks running through the motto, and on the stars we have some more die cracks. We have a clash at her neckline, right at the top of her neckline, below her jaw, that juts out towards that second star. It doesn't go very far, but it's still there. We had the clash right behind her bonnet. Some more die cracks by the stars. And what I think might be the telltale for this coin is the date. You can see the dies crack running through the date, but you see that first 8, the bottom left section. So you want to look right down here. It actually has a little bit of extra material down there. And so you can actually pick that up on a couple other coins in this batch. So I know that this one, we're going to look for that same 8, that same dot, extra material, and it's right there. This one's a little bit easier to see, since it doesn't have that toning hiding it, but it's got that same dot on the bottom left section of the 8. If you look at her neckline, that clash is still there. All these die cracks running up through the stars, they also match. There's the same die clash behind the bonnet, showing the leaves. And they're not going to be, one-to-one comparisons, completely the same strike, because they could have been at different levels or different stages of how far past the clash it happened, or how much worn the die was. So we might see a bit lighter or a bit heavier, die cracks through these, depending on how far along it was. And what's cool about the die cracks is you can tell that they're die cracks instead of scratches. You see how in the O in one, see how it goes behind the O? It breaks in between the start of the lettering and the middle of the lettering and the end. And that's how you can tell that it's from the die. You can see the similar one from the star, right? It goes from point to point, but doesn't go through the center of the star. And then again, we still have that same clashing right up by the tip of that wreath. So I'll just kind of run through the rest of these $87Ps, right? This one's really nice. I love, the open fields in this one. The amount of luster on these things is just very, very pleasing. And so again, the goal on these is, for these 1887Ps, is a 65 is what I'd like to see. I do fully expect a couple of these to come back 64s, but that's all right. It's not too big of an issue, but I'd like to see at least maybe half come back gem mint state. And they're all, fairly comparable, right? The one exception is this last coin here. Well, the obverse is really nice, right? So no major marks. Again, even without the leaf, you can see that die clash behind her bonnet and her hair, which is really cool. And you can see all the die cracks. But this one, if you look by the arrows, you can see that little streak of toning or extra material. It looks like somebody tried to remove that spot. And so there are a couple of gouges, unfortunately. Also, sort of a really nice coin. I'm saying it in any ways, just a bit out of curiosity. On seeing if they'll mark it as scratched or damaged, or if they'll just neck grade it down to 64, because overall there's hardly any major marks on this coin other than that scratch. So while we're still on silver dollars, we'll save those to the bottom for last. I've got a really nice toned 1923 piece dollar. It's in AU condition. You can see a touch of wear on the tips of those hair strands right by the top of her jaw. But overall, it's a really nice coin. And typically the grading surfaces are really hard on piece dollars with color. They'll just questionable color it, artificially tone, grade it that way, just because these piece dollars didn't tone the same way as Moroccan dollars do. And that's simply because of the way the planchets were prepared, the ways that they wash the planchets, the stuff that they used for it. But if you go by technicals, right, this one actually does follow elevation chromatics, and it's, while the colors are bright, I do think it's fairly acceptable, especially on an AU coin. And, there's no hairlines, there's no, dark spots, there's no, signs of cleaning that I can see. So the goal for this one is, just a straight grade. In this patch right in front of her nose, eye, and face, you can actually see what's good about it is the luster still goes through that section of the coin, right? It is not that it stops, which is helpful for an indication of, that it's actual surfaces. And it's not like something that's been scraped away or damaged. Right, so you see how it still goes over it? But overall, it's a really pleasing AU coin, and I hope, fingers crossed, that they straight grade it. But I wouldn't be, too upset if they questionable color it, because that's what they do with Beast dollars. So these two down here, these are getting sent on two separate invoices. All these up here are going on the economy submission, but no add-ons. These two both have add-ons. So this one is actually a mint error, and we'll just give you a quick look. It is on the obverse. We'll see if you can find it here. You don't even need a loop to see it. So if you haven't been able to tell yet, mint error, it's some form of either strike-through or lamination error. I believe it's a strike-through. It's right here by her top of her jawline, or right by the ear, that last hair curl. I think it's a strike-through over a lamination. It could be wrong. It's a minor error, but it's still, not something, too often seen on Morgan dollars, let alone one that has, these nice of a fields, this nice of a surface. My personal opinion is that, at one point this coin was dipped, maybe a bit too much, but, that's why you can kind of see the surface is a touch grainy, but I don't think it was cleaned. There are no signs of hairlines, right? There's no sign of whizzing in the, usually you can see those by the stars, right? There's no extra raised metal at the edge of those or the edge of the lettering, right? Nothing out of the ordinary that you wouldn't see from just a nice medium to high grade Morgan dollar. And the reverse is, super nice. You might think that, this section right up here by the motto is hairlines, but no, it's actually just die polish lines. And again, you can tell that because it doesn't go through the top of the letters, it goes underneath the design elements. But so this one, again, I just want the mint error designation. A plus would be, I think a base grade is a 64 proof like for this one. If it gets a dimple, then that's fantastic. If it gets a 65 proof like, then hey, I'm all for it. Now this last one is actually a crack out from an old PCGS holder. And so you might think I'm crazy for cracking this one out, but this one is actually a variety, right? So it started off as a 1883 no sense MS65 V nickel, and no variety designation. Even if it wasn't a variety, I think I still would have cracked it because these surfaces are just fantastic, virtually flawless, right? So the only visually noticeable mark is between these first two stars. The rest of the fields, they're just a touch hazy, which I'm interested to see if NGC recommends conservation, because I have sent in similar. There's actually a shield nickel that had some semi-proof like fields. It had this similar haze, and they were able to take it off with no problem. And so the variety on this one is actually at the date. You can see at that the notch at the top of the one, and you can see 3 horizontal lines. Let me see if I can zoom in, and then we can maybe get a better look. Yeah, that's a bit better. You see those horizontal lines at the top of the top notch of the one on the left, right at the bottom of it. That's a triple repunch date. It's the FS, I believe it's 1302. You can also see that top of the second 8 loop. See how it's a bit more, a bit thicker than that first 8 in comparison? Because that is also technically doubled. You can see it a bit there at that, towards the top of the loop, that line that runs through it, that kind of curves downward. That's the variety we're looking at. That's a better look. But yeah, this is a really nice V-nickel. This one also has die polish lines on the reverse. At first, when I first got it, I was like, oh no, are these hairlines? But no, they're not. You can, again, you can tell because it doesn't go through or on over the top of the device as it goes underneath. The reverse isn't as visually appealing as the obverse, but again, it doesn't have any crazy marks. Really nice strike. And so this one, minimum I want the, I just want the variety designation on this, in it to come back again as a 65. Because with that, it's, the highest I believe is a 66 for that variety. And, I bought it just as a straight 65. And so the variety just only adds value to it. But if I get a 66, I believe that is, in line with the top pops. And so that would be fantastic to have a top pop variety that, you didn't have to buy already labeled and holdered and pay a big premium, crack out, and hope for a higher grade. But so that's it for today's video. Again, let me know what your thoughts are on these coins, if I'm crazy for setting them in, or what ones you like and what ones you don't like. I'll give you guys an update on when they do end up coming back from NGC. Who knows when. They've been pretty pretty backed up and taking their time with some submissions. A lot more people sending coins in. But yeah, again, let me know what your thoughts are, and look out for the next video from NGC. Thanks, everybody.